The intent of this paper is to provide a simple focus on that mathematical concept and solution, phenomenological velocity, to shine light on a worthy topic for mathematicians and physicists alike. Phenomenological velocity is essential to the formulation of a gestalt cosmology. Here we see the method of solving for phenomenological velocity. We start by solving for a height function orthogonal to some hypothetical arc-length differential. Then, we notice that we can factor out the numerator, applying the Lorentz coefficient within the square roots, though in such a way that it truly ought cancel out with itself. We then find a solution to v, even though it ought cancel out with itself. This solution is an algebraic velocity known as phenomenological velocity. It is a real, non-negligible algebraic conclusion. Thus we find a new form of relativity, transcendental relativity. The bibliography of this paper provides references to the extensive research that has been conducted by myself on the topic. I have performed conditional integrals of the phenomenological velocity in its most liberated standard algebraic form. I have shown that the computational phenomenological velocity satisfies its real-analytic solution when not using the speed of light in scientific notation to get the computational version, thus demonstrating that it is a valid solution. So, phenomenological velocity has profound consequences to the foundations of physics as civilization moves into a galactic scale and information is communicated at the quantum level. Because it is such a mathematical reality, it ought not be ignored when considering topics from hidden dimensions, a real, algebraic technique, and relativity to gravity and dark matter. It gives us a new perspective on how we perceive the meaning of velocity itself with pragnance, and thus with the new meaning, perspectives can change. I hope the reader will investigate the combined research I have performed on this topic, available by referencing the works in this bibliography to fully understand the nature of the arguments being made within. So, this points the right direction for future research, perhaps even with intent to encourage experimental design. 2. Phenomenological velocity is the conditional derivative for light, so it has been demonstrated from infinity, a new language for balancing. Within Emerson, 2022. From the Cone of Perception, Volume 1 of my collected works, you will remember that one of the main topics in that work was V curvature, also called phenomenological velocity. In that work, although a solution to the V curvature variable was provided as well as many graphs that yielded numerous duals. 5 of spiral formulations in exquisite 3D color formations, that method by which the solution was found was not iterated. This chapter begins by showing how it is possible to solve for something that ideally ought cancel out with itself and how, although commutation between square roots is valid, there may be room here for an alternate route of accessing a hidden dimension. That dimension we call V curvature, or phenomenological velocity. Herein is provided the pathway for solving for V curvature in terms of CSC, which can be translated into sin and cos functionality. Furthermore, the processing these equations through Wolfram alpha yielded other insights into limits, roots, and series that logically follow. How did the solutions to the velocity v variable curvature in the Lorentz coefficient manifest when the Lorentz coefficient ought cancel out with itself? The step-by-step solution in the sphere of realization illustrates the algebraic process by which a specific solution for something that ought cancel out with itself can be found. Phenomenal velocity, Emerson 2009. Theorem 3 is a result found from applying the Lorentz factor to parameters of the height of the cone, where the Lorentz transformation applied in a null logically cancelling manner within expression for the height of the cone, then using the exact speed of light in scientific notation, one finds a solution to the intrinsic velocity within the Lorentz factor upon computing the solution to the equation for the height of the cone. This result is found from the pure geometry of a circle transforming into a cone. This result is a signifier of the structuring of the general motion in phenomenologically computational mathematics, getting to the eidetic meaning of velocity through formal ontology and logic without resorting to derivatives or commonly conceived rates of travel. It is from the function of the height of the cone that the implicit velocity within that Lorentz transformation is capable of being calculated formally. 5 applied case scenarios of phenomenological velocity. A survey, relative magnitudes of phenomenological velocity solutions to the size of Earth and the vortex of galaxy forms are relevant to the study of gestalt cosmology. For instance, we can see that this function is the size of a sphere with the radius of a light second. Here, we see this solution to the speed of light from the phenomenological velocity equation that gives us an ecological context for man. We see why light speed takes on unit contextual metrics to meter per second, and how man's position in the cosmos is related to this relative numeric magnitude. A differential velocity space is defined by the solutions to the resulting equation yield evidence that for such a space, the resulting specific magnitudes are at play. The formula indicates that the difference between the instantaneous velocity and the geometric mean velocity is equivalent to the phenomenological velocity. Note: the resulting solution to the C variable contains coefficients that are within the ecological scale of human measurements of the speed of light when using material instruments, and these are produced entirely from multiplying coefficient harmonics algebraically and from basically scratch difference formulations. Ordering the difference as above yields such a scaling of the coefficients, while ordering it any other way yields solutions to C that contain coefficients of an extraordinary magnitude, some 10 and 175. Only one of said solutions is delineated below for illustration. This is a piece of observational evidence indicative that we are present in a realm that orders the difference of the meanings of velocities in the manner of the former solutions, not the latter. The solutions are capable of being graphed and do produce form. How do we conceive of a 16-dimensional angle? When? How will physics be able to tap into these higher dimensions of reality through consciousness by interpreting these higher dimensional forms eidetically? We can use this system of functions and phenomenological velocity to inquire about our universe. Here, we see a vortex that is produced from a simple difference equation of a slightly pyknotic phenomenological velocity. This vortex is many times the magnitude of our universe in meters, or if interpreted as nanometers, perhaps this scaling makes more sense. 8. With the manifestation and introduction of the spontaneously, symbolically novel, phenomenological velocity, we have a new form of relativity in addition to special and general. We can call this concept of relativity, transcendental, relativity, as the ideal forms, transcend, the notions of fixed constraints on the nature and perception of spatio-temporality, providing new symbolic and parametric language to nest the perceiver's experiential reality.